So this is to bring you guys, for you guys to throw your biggest objection, things that are, that you're either objections that you're afraid of, objections that you're actually seeing when you're having dialogue with people, and then we're going to give you some objection handlers. So I'm going to start right off with, I got a call last night from a for sale by owner. This for sale by owner is randomly calling agents and letting them know that he's got this house for sale
Marshall,
in Lorraine. Yes.
he contacted all of us. I think.
Yes, right. So what ended up happening with the conversation that I had with him was I listened to all of it. I said, what can I do for you? And he went into this whole thing about how he has the house, he had it listed with an agent for a month, and whoever it was that was handling it was doing a poor job. Then they listed it with Matt Chase, had a pre-list appraisal done at 186, had it down to like 179, it wasn't selling. Listing agent wasn't quite sure why it wasn't selling. They kept defaulting to it's in Lorraine, it's in Lorraine, it's in Lorraine. So that's why they have the house priced under value. Then wanted to do an open house in yet another market reposition. And the contract was about to expire. So Matt Chase said, you know, I'm not gonna do another open house for you. If you wanna lower the price another $5,000, then I'll do it. So the guy was like, obviously this isn't working. He felt like the previous agent did a really good job. However, let it expire, and now he's a for sale by owner. So he's calling agents all over the place to tell them that he is now a for sale by owner, and he's offering a 3% flat for the buyer's agent. And what do you think about that? At about a 179.
Well, he mentioned that he sent letters through KW, which was, I don't know how he got a hold of that, that was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But he also, he's saying he's got an attorney and she's doing that, but it's still less, because we're pretty much having to do the entire transaction.
Okay, so when he says, I feel I'm being generous by giving the buyer's broker 3%, what do you think about that?
I wouldn't say it's being generous.
Okay.
That's what we get when there's two parties.
Because the standard is what?
3%.
Right.
Well, 3% for
Yeah,
us,
so
but yeah.
it would be 3.2.
Right.
So you know how the 3.2 works for you guys that are newer.
There's
3% on the first 100,000, 2% on the balance. So he feels that $79,000, $75,000, he's giving an extra 0.5% to the agent, and he's like, you know, I feel like that's fair. Well, in most cases, that would be fair because some for sale by owners won't even welcome compensating an agent at all. What does your buyer's agreement say?
5.
5. Why does it say 5? Because if you're dealing with for sale by owner, you're gonna end up doing all the paperwork and all the negotiating and everything, because now you're treating them as a customer and you're bringing the client in, correct? Is that clear? Okay, so, as a
Excuse me, it's clear, but most times I'm doing most of the paperwork anyway. I'm filling out the entire contract, I'm having to get someone to sign it. I'm confused on, because I may not know the other end when both things are going. I'm confused at how much more paperwork you're truly doing. If I got a person I'm bringing and he comes and says, I'll agree with the price, or no, I don't agree, I just tell the guy he doesn't agree and we negotiate, how much more paperwork am I really doing to justify that?
how many because you're using a for sale by owner, is there, does your contract pages increase?
I don't know, I've never worked
No.
on it.
Does it? I
No.
mean, all of a sudden, because you're using a for sale by owner, is there like 5 more forms to fill out? It's
No.
the same amount of paperwork, so to your question, like you're not doing more paperwork, you're doing more facilitating, but you're not necessarily doing more paperwork. So what I did is I explained to him, and he said that he had an attorney on the other end. Okay, now that actually helps, because then you have somebody that you can actually deal with that has some knowledge of the market, agreed? So,
Hopefully.
we would hope, but hypothetically, yes. So I let him go through his whole thing, you know, he gave me the whole trajectory, and then I said, what is the attorney charging you? And he said, $300. So I said, wow, great deal.
Total?
He said it's a family friend, she very much knows what she's doing, family friend, red light. So, because it's a family friend and she said she can do it, I don't know anything about if she's got really that much experience in a transaction or not. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, don't know. What I did like what he was saying was things about doing market repositions, pre-list appraisals, understood how the system worked, so he was educated well by the previous listing agent. Like, if we don't get X number of showings, then we bring it down. So he was actually guided the right way and seemed to be cool with it. So for sale by owner, for a buyer to bring, for a buyer's agent to bring a buyer into for sale by owner like that would probably be a huge benefit. However, there's still that possibility that you're gonna end up facilitating everything. So I says, I'm certainly not trying to put out your ambition to be a for sale by owner, because obviously you're very well equipped, you're very well prepared, you understand how things work. I said, quite honestly, you would be probably sitting in the top of the food chain as far as for sale by owners for a buyer's agent to bring somebody in.
You're very
Because-
well educated.
Because you're you're reasonable, you're educated, you know exactly what this is. So I peeled it back one more layer and I said, it's a shame that you can't have this dialogue with every agent that sees a house that pops up for sale by owner. I said, because much like a used car salesman and in some cases a real estate broker, they don't have a good reputation. And he goes, well, yeah, I guess I can kind of see that. And I said, can I be honest with you? He said, certainly. And I said, most agents will see a for sale by owner and they'll run the other direction. Furthermore, if they see that the for sale by owner is offering 3%, knowing that they're going to have to do all the paperwork, they may consider just directing their clients to somebody that has another agent because the transaction can run a little bit smoother. I hope you don't find that offensive, but part of what we do is to educate the public on the real estate market, because it is a market. So because he was open to the dialogue, it was very, very easy to be honest with him and say, this is probably, what you're looking at. I said, I'm not trying to discourage your idea of a for sale by owner, but for 2 or 3 more %, you could have an agent on this. We could potentially bring you a buyer, and now we get the house sold quickly, because the marketing that we're doing is not the marketing that you have the ability to do. He's like, oh, why? And then he went into this whole about how he's a brilliant marketer. And I said, well, I'm sure that that's probably the case. I said, but unfortunately, you're always going to be perplexed with this whole, it's a for sale by owner, ugh. I said, now you're not that guy, because we've had the opportunity to get better acquainted and understand, exactly what your understanding is of the market, which is much to your benefit. I said, but those challenges are going to show up just because, unfortunately, you're lobbed into that category. If I may be metaphoric, it's like amateur night. Like, most for sale by owners are not willing to compensate a buyer's broker. They're trying to make as much money as they can, and they're entering into a field where we're all licensed and knowledgeable, and they're playing realtor and don't really necessarily know exactly how the market works. I understand, I get that, I see that. So the long and the short of it is now he wants to meet with me to discuss this further and is considering listing with the Dream Team.
I wouldn't have liked it.
So all of this stuff that I gave him, all this information, in most cases with for sale by owners, because we're talking about objections, clearly, how interesting that this popped up. This was like last night at like 6:45, that I was able to kind of give him a clearer picture of how things work and then encourage him to list with us so that we can captivate the listing, get his house sold quickly, have a good experience with the realtor so that if he has another house to sell in the future, he's looking for us. And because he is so verbal about his house, and maybe I even threw something out that said, hey, maybe you should become a real estate agent. And he goes, I was considering. It's like, well, that's when you call me. So I even turned it into a recruiting opportunity. Like, so you always have to kind of stay on top of all of those things to see if that's something that's going to benefit you. So at this point, of course, there'll be follow-up. Of course, I'll say, let's wait a couple days, and then I'll get back to you sometime on Saturday or Monday and see if you had a chance to digest everything that we talked about. So before I hung up, he was like, I would really like to come out and meet with you and put a name to a face. So I'm going to invite him to come to the office on Monday after your one-on-ones just to have a little chat. So he gets to see the person that he's talking to. You seem very knowledgeable. Seems like you very much know what you're doing. And I said, well, quite honestly, it's my job. So, I have to be knowledgeable. So what are your thoughts about all that?
Well, I had gotten this letter from him too, and I wrote him a letter back. So And I was on this, almost, well, I was almost on the same page, and I did mention that, about the, I wrote the same thing about the few percent more, you can have the agent representing you. I did mention that just, that he had mentioned that he's on Zillow, but currently Zillow is showing his house at 173, so I said they are doing you a disservice. So we did talk about some of that stuff, but I thought, that sounds like you handled it great. Did he call you directly, or did?
Called me direct, well, no, I got a
Email.
a text message that says that I have a new contact, and I called him immediately.
We all did,
Right.
yeah.
So you do that, don't wait. Like, as soon as you see something that pops up that says, you have a new client, you have a new contact, call them immediately. At least make the contact and set something up for further, but don't wait, because once it's sent, they send it to you immediately. So if they see quick response time, not only do you have first shot at captivating the client, but it looks like you're serious, like you're not playing around, you're on top of it.
My guess is he got a hold of every Keller Williams agent's email, because we all, Sophia, we all got an email from this guy, so he is pretty smart.
Yeah. So, part of the objection handler in reverse from where we are is, just because it's a for sale by owner doesn't mean it's a bad thing, it's a rash generalization. You will potentially find that person that actually does kind of know what they're doing and maybe has had an experience with an agent and wants to go a different route because whoever the agent is not accomplishing the goal or fulfilling the expectations that are set forth. So that was my biggest takeaway from it. And he was so like, I'm doing it myself, I'm doing it myself, I'm doing it myself. After a 45-minute conversation, I want to revisit and see if there's a better way to go about doing it. Now, what do you think I had to say about the previous agents? However, I didn't want to know. I waited for him to allow Matt Chase, and I said, oh, yeah, of course. I know Matt Chase. Like, we used to work at the same brokerage together. He's a good guy. That's how I left it. Like, because the circumstances spoke for themselves. So now I'm ethical. So, had another situation occur, talk about objection handlers, a lender that wants to come to us and somehow wiggle into being our sponsored lender. So rolls up on one of our agents, says, hey, you're on the dream team, I saw your Facebook post, blah, 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 blah. And then proceeds to say, I'm trying to get in with Betty and Sophia. So obviously they're trying to promote themselves just like we are. So our particular agent says, yeah, we already have a sponsored vendor that we use currently, but we're always open to other alternatives, did the right thing. She proceeds to bash our lender, like bashes him hard, and then took it to the personal. And then her value proposition at the end of that was, I can get a loan closed in 21 days. And then picks herself up and leaves. What type of impression do you think that left?
Sour.
Right, what else?
Unprofessional.
Yep, keep going.
Maybe she should have said 21 days at the beginning of it, just saying, like,
And left all the bashing out, maybe?
yeah, like maybe she should have sold herself instead of bashing.
Mhm.
Maybe she's just not confident in selling herself, so she turned to the negative.
Right, what else? Something else that's actually big picture that does involve you.
The thing is, you have to think about, if she's gonna do that to another lender, how is she gonna treat your clients?
Right,
I'm sorry you feel that way, they've actually been very good for us.
right, but as far as, I agree. We'll try to keep it a little more streamlined. What kind of impression does it leave on you?
Bad taste, that she's gonna talk bad about you, and she won't tell
Or
you.
if anything comes awry in a transaction, even if you didn't have any control over it, and you didn't hand it to her standard, she's gonna
Mhm.
bash you with your clients.
So I would challenge you to say something, or I would challenge you to be thought-provoked in the way of like, that's great if you can close a loan in 21 days because you take it directly to underwriting. However, what is the dynamic going to be between the two of us if this is how you show up? Like, she didn't have to lie and say, oh my gosh, I love Nations Lane, they're amazing. Like, she didn't have to do that. She could just say, oh, okay, and then roll past it. But what was the purpose in bashing everybody along the way?
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to work with her now, at all. I don't want to work with her ever, if that's how you show up. That's not our model, it's not how we do things. So that's much to her detriment. So the takeaway from that is if somebody else is working with somebody else, don't bash the other person to make yourself look good. Be really, really well versed on your value proposition. Be very, very well versed on how you present yourself and why, how you're bigger, better, greater than anyone. Like, make sure that that's how that shows up. Make sense? All right. So those are two very good, solid examples. Okay, so what are your objections? What are your biggest ones? What are the ones that you're afraid of? And we'll handle them. Spit them out. There's got to be something. You're not all that well versed.
I had a lady yesterday who, well, actually the day before yesterday, she was interested in Natchez. Well, when I told her that it was no longer available, she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, but I'd be more than happy to help you find another property. If there's anything you're interested in, just let me know and I can see about getting you into that property. She was like, oh, I'll have to discuss it with my husband and get back to you. So I called her yesterday and she's like, oh, I'm way out the door. I'll call you another time. And that was it. So
Okay.
I don't know if there was something else I could have done.
I would do, the other thing that, what you probably could have done, try to do whatever you possibly can to get lead capture. So,
Well, I have her stuff because she was a lead for Natchez.
okay, so if you've got her stuff, if for some reason you didn't have it, then you would say, hey, we may have some other properties that fall in that same category. Would you mind terribly if I emailed a couple of them over to you to get the email address? Because you already have the phone number. And if you're contacting her via phone, yeah, I'll call you later, it doesn't want to have to deal with it because either, you never know what's going on in somebody's life.
Right.
But if you can do a follow-up email, so that then you may contact, text, phone call, and email, those are really, really good follow-ups, and then you wait about another week, and then you touch it again, and see if you get a response.
Sometimes I'll try to slow them down while they're running out the door and go, well, hold on 1 second. Let me call you back. What time would be most convenient for me to contact
I do
you?
like
You
that.
sound very busy. When can I call you? Because otherwise she'll try to call you, you're not available. You'll try to call her, she's not available. And like, let's try to make it so,
Yeah,
well,
and
what's
I-
the most convenient?
I really like that, because then if they do give you a time, of course you have to call at that time,
Right.
but then you don't feel like you're kind of like doing the tugging on the apron, mommy, like you're actually complying with it. So yeah, that's why we do this. So yeah, I really do like
Because a lot of
that.
times when they're rushing, if you can stop them just for 1 second, because sometimes you'll call someone and they'll like, come up with an excuse. I
And
used
they
to-
really are, maybe are running out the door.
Or, I mean, I used to do this at the gym, and I said, well, are you interested in whatever it was that I was trying to, and they'll go, well, actually, no. And you're like, okay, great, well, that's all I needed to know, I really appreciate your time. But sometimes they'll just keep making excuses instead of just telling you, like, I don't want what you have to offer, or whatever.
Right,
So sometimes you gotta slow them down for 1 second.
I agree, I agree. What else? What else you got?
I think at my point, I would be going similar to what Eric is saying. You know, just trying to figure out, called yesterday, someone hung up on me, called, you know, I mean, it's just trying to massage that so it's, yeah, I guess my current, I guess I'm just saying my current objections at this point in my real estate thing would be the same as Erica's, and knowing how to handle those.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can't think of other ones.
Sure, but I mean, the first step that you've taken is like, we're having a mastermind about objections, and here you are. This is how you learn. Because these are the things that we're providing you guys that most people, most teams don't. So that's kind of how that works. So let me throw a couple at you. How long have you been an agent? How do you handle that objection?
Honest, but group the team in with it.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So I've been an agent since September. However, I happen to be on a team that is very knowledgeable and has over 20 years of experience between the owner, the team leader, and the other people who are on my team. And they are here to help and support me in any way possible and to walk us through the process.
Okay, what else would you add to that? That's perfect. What else would you add to that?
I guess just bringing along with that your personal market expertise. What Elliot said a while ago, expertise over experience.
Mhm.
So maybe tapping into that as you're aware of things, I guess, and you know the market.
Sure. What else would you add to it?
Oh my God, I've been licensed for 5 years, the market is great. I'm so excited to be on this awesome team of mine. I mean, if you combine the experience, probably over 40, 50 years of experience. and we are super knowledgeable in the market and and I just, what is it? But, I mean, I said, we can do such a good job for you, and we are probably the best as far as is the value we offer to our client.
So consider this, consider asking them permission, if I may. I'm so incredibly excited to work for Keller Williams in this market and on the team that I'm on because there is so much resource. And the fact that I am young and this is new and I'm enthusiastic, I can bring a level of energy and commitment to you that I'm confident that no one else can. And I have all of the resource of my team to support it. Like, doesn't that make it sound like that person wants to work with you? That person wants you to, you know, to engage with, they want to engage with you and nobody else, because you're bringing not only a young, hungry, ambitious persona, because this is new, but yet you've got knowledge, resource, and experience backing you. And then furthermore say, you know, please feel free to do some research on Keller Williams, Greater Cleveland West, and the Dream Team, in that order. So the last thing that's in their head is Dream Team. That's what they're looking for. So you're giving them three things. You know how I met somebody at the gym this morning that's a lender. Hi, my name is, and it went right over my head. That's something that I have difficulty with, so I make sure that I say the person's name 3 times, so it sticks. His name is Chris. Oddly enough, I went Chris Higgins, and he grew up together. Now I remember his name. So whenever you're doing that, Keller Williams, Greater Cleveland West, the Dream Team. Please look us up. Please do some research.
Who was it? Give me his last name?
Yes, it's in my phone.
Oh,
Yeah, Chris Holtzen or something like that. Anyways, so how else would you answer that before we go on to the next one? Anything else you'd add to that? Okay, I think that gives you a pretty good, you all right?
Yeah, I just wanna stand.
Okay, that's fine. You went down the stairs. So, okay, so that kind of gives you a little bit of an arsenal there. Okay, so what about, I'm a for sale by owner and I don't want to list my house with an agent because I'll make more money.
Why
tell me
don't,
more about that. Why do you feel,
Well, because I think you real estate agents get paid too much. And I can do everything that you can do.
so my thing is, so do you understand what it means and what it all entails to list your house?
Well, how hard can it be? Take some pictures, put it on the MLS, somebody calls, they want to see it, they write an offer. How hard can it be?
Absolutely, I understand where you're absolutely coming from. Now, I understand that the process looks like that in a way, but there's a lot of underground work or a lot of work in the background that goes on that I just want to make sure that you're aware of, that you know that you're going to have to deal with. So like with the buyers coming in through the house, are you going to know are they pre-approved or not pre-approved? That's always a great question I like to ask. So do you know what the difference between not pre-approved and what pre-approved is, and how it really affects the transaction, or I guess affects the showing?
No,
So my thing is, your time is very valuable. You work, correct, also?
correct.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're probably, you work 9 to 5 or, whatever your hours entail, and for you to be able to show this on call, how's that going to work as well, too?
Didn't think about that.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that is because I really, I always tell my sellers this, I'm really concerned because your house is on the market, not just anyone should be able to come in your house. They should be pre-approved, which means they're ready to go and buy. They're not a looky-loo buyer, as we call them in our market, where they just want to come in, browse, and then they waste your time, and then in that time you could have been doing something else. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons I think, and with that, that's what you get with me and the Dream Team, plus a whole bunch of other stuff, and I would love to, dive more in and tell you a little bit more if you're open to this.
Perfect. So see how he did that? That was great. Because now he
I would
went
have said it
right.
with a smile on my face.
Yes, always. So what he did, we immediately dove right into, how much do you know about what it takes for you to sell your own home? The thing that I also really like that you might want to add to your arsenal is, it's life disruptive. It's going to be disruptive enough to get your house listed with an agent. Now you're going to add on the responsibility of facilitating. There's a small percentage of people that end up making more money than they would have if they hired an agent. Very small percentage. Because you realize you can't say, this is what it is, because all you're going to do is get direct pushback.
Yeah.
So you want to open their mind up to the possibilities that you may go through all this and you may not end up with any more money in the end anyway. How does that look to you?
And do you really want to, I like the one I use a lot, do you know what, are you willing to pay, my thing is, oh, so are you willing to pay a buyer agent commission? And they're like, absolutely. I'm like, so I like to pose this question, just so you know, do you know what a buyer's agent's job is? And they're kind of like, well, yeah, bring the buyer. And I'm like, you gotta understand, they're working for the buyers, so their goal is to get the best house at the best price. So their goal is to get this house at the lowest price, purchase price they can for their buyer. Do you know that?
Yes,
And then, okay, so you're willing to pay someone 3.5 or 4% to negotiate against you.
nice. Wow. That's impactful, isn't it?
Yeah, I say that, and a lot of times they're like, and I don't mean, I would say, I'm not trying to be rude, I just want you to know that that's their job, that's what they're gonna do to you.
So a lot of people don't when you're saying that, they're like, what?
They're like, and then, I'm like,
Confused.
I'm like,
I said that.
So let's peel back that layer one more, because I want to capitalize on this, because I love it, I think it's brilliant. So you're willing to go against a licensed professional that's being represented by the person that's trying to get your home at the lowest price possible, and you are going to enter into this negotiation arena and/or market with less knowledge than a licensed real estate agent has, unrepresented. How is that? How is that a benefit to you?
I think my biggest,
Fact. Question.
I think my biggest thing right now is getting the full 7% rate. I think that's the biggest thing, on being like, it's like, I think, want to say it's like a 50-50, sometimes they go in on like just 7%, they're like, okay, and then some other people are like, whoa, like, my last realtor did it for 5 or 6%, and then I do pull up this is what I experienced, I do pull up well, and how did that work for you, because obviously your house is on the market, and then I get pushback, well, this because this, and because of Christmas, and because of this, so, I mean, that's my biggest thing right now, is where I'm at is getting the full 7%. I've done, that's just, I think that's where I'm at.
No, I think it's perfect, and that's exactly why we do this.
Yeah.
So those are really, really good objection handlers when it comes to that type of thing. All right, so let's go to another one. Go ahead, you got something?
No, I thought you wanted another objection. That's not. Go ahead.
You got something? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, when you're calling on for sale by owner or an expired and they've gotten more calls than they want to, right away, they're picking up the phone with an angry attitude, because my God, since my home expired, I should say this doesn't happen to expireds that have expired a while and you go back farther, but if they're fresh expireds, they get kind of nasty.
So how would you turn that around?
That's why I'm asking you, because
Okay,
it's
so-
come up to me and I've said I do
So the way
apologize.
to turn that around, it would simply be, is that, well,
How do you call? What's
as,
the first thing you say?
as
No.
much as if they say, gosh, everybody in the world is calling me and say, I really apologize for that, that would be very, very labor intensive. The quickest way to have those phone calls stop is to hire an agent. However, the good news is that your property is obviously very, very valuable and desirable, which is why there are so many agents that want to list it. So if you don't mind, maybe we can stop the rapid phone calling right this minute if you're willing to, listen to my value proposition, and/or I can come out and do a listing presentation for you so you can see how we get more homes sold in less amount of time at a higher price. So they're already identifying with what the problem is. They're already annoyed with all the phone calls. So why not go right to that objection and go, well, we can stop that right now if you just list with me. Don't be afraid to ask for the business. Well, yeah. Seriously, once it's listed with you, you won't have to answer another phone call. That's what we do. We have it set up so that the only thing that you have to do is keep the house presentable and vacate when there's a showing, and that's it. That is going to be a huge, now is there a value to that to you? Is that important to you? Because once it's expired, until you relist, you're going to get these phone calls, and better than that, if you become a for sale by owner, you're going to have to manage all of this, kind of life disruptive. What are your thoughts about that? And with the question, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay. What else? Let's talk about circle prospecting. How do you handle that?
I think circle prospecting, I like it a little bit more than cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot more because I actually have like helpful information. I'm gonna say like, hey, a house was sold in this area for this, or hey, so you're looking, and I'll use it on the buyer side too sometimes when I buyers on the fence or something that they really liked on that street or in that area, like, so I have people looking in Lakewood now, and they kind of went on the back one, and I just closed on Lakewood, and I just text them like, hey, just so you know, we just closed on a house this month in Lakewood, and we got a really great market price. I really think we should, think about looking or starting back on the, process. Circle prospecting. I don't know.
Now, when you're calling a circle prospect, you're not competing for the listing, you're trying to activate one.
Correct.
So go about it that way. That's the first thing. The second thing, you're gonna start that interaction with that circle prospect as complimenting their neighborhood and or their home. Like, you're basically saying, your home is so nice that I'm going to step out of bounds and call you and see if you wanna sell it because I have somebody that wants to live there. Or you live in a desirable neighborhood that everybody wants to live in. Or if you don't mind me asking, how long have you owned the home? And if it was before 2007, then not only has the market recovered, but it's stronger than it's ever been, which may create quite a bit of a profit margin for you over the last 10 years. Because now we're in 2018, right? Housing market crashed when? 2007. Makes sense? So when you pick up that phone and you call that circle prospect, how does that look? What would you say?
Contribution.
So tell me, call it out.
So
We'll
what do
play
you,
it.
so what do you want us to role play? I'm sorry, what do you want us to?
Role play it.
What? Circle prospect?
Prospect, phone call.
Okay, hi, ring, ring, ring. Ring,
Okay.
ring, ring.
Yeah? Hello?
Hi, this is this so-and-so at so-and-so address?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for taking my call. This is Christian Welling from Keller Williams, the Dream Team. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Why are you calling me?
Oh, I'm just calling because right now I have a buyer that we're kind of like lock rig right now, but there's not a lot of inventory on the market, and my buyer needs to move in the next few months. And they really love this street and area, and we're seeing if anyone has been interested in potentially might be selling their house in the next few weeks or months. Do you know anyone that's looking to sell their house?
Well, no,
Okay.
but we're not gonna sell our house until our kid graduates from high school, which isn't until May.
Oh, it isn't until May. Okay. Oh, funny you say that. So, I mean, why haven't you listed your house now, may I ask?
Because we were waiting for her to graduate. We're gonna list it in the spring because that's listing season.
Okay. Oh, so like, you're absolutely right. So, now why would you say it's listing season? Why would you say that's listing season now and it's not listing season, right?
Because nobody
This
moves
time.
in the wintertime.
I'm sorry?
Nobody moves in the wintertime.
Okay, well, just so you know, I do have buyers right now that are looking to move in the wintertime. So that's why I'm calling. So I want to let you know, actually, you have more ready and able buyers out there than we do in the summer months. The only reason I say this is because summer, it's nice, everyone's out, there's longer daylight, so everyone's like, oh, looky-loo, let's go look at houses. But in the winter, there's less daylight, and people don't really want to be out in this cold unless they're very serious buyers. So that's why I say that.
That sounds good. So how long would it take to sell my house?
I mean, it just depends. Typical, until you get a contract, you could be out of your house, I would say 45 to 60 days once you get a contract. So in this market, I don't know, if you're priced properly and, we do have a ready and able buyer, it could be within, a month or two.
Okay.
Not
Well,
gonna guarantee that,
Right.
though, with such low inventory, your house is gonna be showcased right now.
Right. Okay.
So are you interested in selling, or do you know someone on the street that's interested in selling? Because I really have a buyer ready to go.
Well, let me talk to my spouse and see if this is something that we want to do. But in the meantime, the neighbors 2 doors down are, we're talking about doing the same thing because our
Well-
kids go to school together.
May I ask you a question? Could you give me their contact info, or am I allowed to call them and let them know that you told me that they were thinking about selling? Because I don't ever want to, ruffle a neighbor's feather.
Well, yeah, no, but then, I don't want them competing against us if we end up having, to list our house.
Well, it looks like you folks have two different styles of homes, so I really wouldn't know what style my buyer would like until they get into it. So you wouldn't even know that. You might not even be competing against them.
And now I'm gonna flip to the other
Okay.
side. And how about, well, because the inventory is so low, how much greater would it be to be competing with maybe one other house in your neighborhood instead of
Ah,
the springtime?
I
there'll be
missed that,
6
sorry.
of them.
I missed that, sorry.
So, no, that's okay,
That's why we do this, you're right, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Plus, it also, your house, when I was talking to you about earlier about the more serious buyers, you're not only having more serious buyers, because of the current low inventory we've been having for quite some time now, and having a lot less competition in the spring, if we sell your house now, typically we get a lot more money for your house than you might get when there is a higher inventory. So, so be your
Along the
best.
same
In
lines.
addition, what I think would be best, and I'm sure you would agree, why don't I come by your house, see what your house looks like, what it's all about? Because this way I can really get a good judgment of how quickly it will sell based on the appearance of the home and what we discussed as far as pricing your home.
Sure. Brenda, anything to add to it?
Just absorbing it at this point.
Mm-hmm. That's fine, okay.
KW Connect, Brandon, seriously, like, on there, tons of script, tons of stuff.
Yeah.
This is honestly just watching videos over and over and over.
Yeah, the things that become your, and that's a fantastic.
Sorry, I just like to throw that.
No,
Oh,
I
no,
get
yeah.
that's why.
I kid you not, like,
Sorry,
I
yes.
wish when I first started, this is being 4 years, I wish the first year I would have just hammered out scripts, because once you learn them, and then there's a lot of truth behind the script, there's a lot of truth behind it all, and you say it in your own personal way, like, everyone's gonna say it in their own personal way, but it's when you get to that point that you say it so nonchalantly, like, yes, and this is
Right.
why, that you're like, you own it, you breathe it, you are it, you know, that, you just.
And you're conveying it as
Yeah.
fact.
And it's a fact, and you just wanna help them. That's another thing too.
Somebody mentioned something to me when I first started in real estate about not moving in the winter. And they said, well, were you planning on carrying your dresser down the stairs and out to the truck? Or are you planning on hiring a mover? Oh, I am too old, I would not be able to do that. Well, movers don't care about snow.
Yeah.
And in fact, you get a good rate on moving because there isn't as much moving going on, so there's a better chance that you'll get caught rate. So let's review about what it looks like to list your house in the spring as opposed to listing it now. So if you do it in the spring, there's going to be more competition. There's going to be a lot more people out there looking. The inventory is going to increase as opposed to decrease, so laws of supply and demand will reflect your price. Interest rates will be higher because we all know that they're very slowly creeping up. So those are the things that are maybe not so great about selling your house in the spring, even though there is more daylight. It is a little bit easier to move, and school is getting serious buyers. You're not competing with as many people, and movers don't care about snow. So which of those two look most appealing to you if the intention is to sell your home? Then you wait for them to serve you the objections and be ready to continue to chip away at it until you end up with what I ended up with yesterday after 45 minutes. Now I want to meet with you and consider listing my home, as opposed to before I'm for sale by owner, that's it.
And you may be able to sell the home, get an offer, and negotiate an extended close until the
Absolutely.
graduation.
Now
There's
you're thinking
tons
like
of-
agents, exactly.
That's when you say, that's when I hold that for the consult. I'm like, I got some really cool stuff that you probably never thought of.
Don't be afraid to bring to all of these objections the fact that you're enthusiastic. Now that is our girl, Mo Anderson. If you want to be enthusiastic, you have to act enthusiastic. Well, it sounds a little cheesy, but you know what? She's dead on right. And she does that thing. She makes the whole room do that thing. If you want to be enthusiastic, you have to act enthusiastic.
That's crazy, you've seen her a lot.
And that's what she does, but that's probably why she's pictured on the wall here. So don't be afraid to get excited about your business and share it with the client, because anybody that's excited about what they're doing, it's going to show. It's not, so now that it triggered some thought. So this particular for sale by owner asked me if I didn't mind specifically, like, how does an agent get paid? So he goes, so do they get that whole, I was like, oh, no. I said, if they're with a brokerage, I said they have to give a percentage of it to the broker. And if they're on a team, then they have to give a percentage of it to the team. So the agent doesn't walk away from it with a boatload of money for doing nothing for you. They do everything for you. But that one fee that you're paying is splitting potentially up to 6 ways, depending upon the agent that you're dealing with. And everybody that has the fallacy of like, if I don't have an agent, I can get the house cheaper. He goes, well, no, I know that, because you list it for 6%, that's it. Either all goes to the listing agent or they split it with that, but that's just how I was like, exactly. I said, so, I think everybody has this impression of us that You know, it's just another notch, another notch, another notch, another notch, more money, more money, more money, more money. Yes, we are in the business to make money, clearly. This is how we feed our families, this is how we pay our bills, this is how we educate our children, absolutely. But I think that the public generally doesn't realize that it's not, you know, you pay a $3,000 commission and you put it in your pocket, out the door you go to the next one. It doesn't work that way. Thank you for filling me in on that. I said, it's a shame that the public was not a little bit more aware, and then I doubled back to that again. I said, because our job is to educate the public on the real estate market because it's a market. I kept hammering that because for sale by owners generally, not particularly this guy, but they all have it in their head that they know everything about it, and they probably haven't sold a home in 4 to 10 years.
Or if they've even ever sold one.
Yeah, I've been in my house 11 years. Like, if I wasn't a realtor, I wouldn't know what's going on out here, and I wouldn't claim to, but not everybody falls in that category. Make sense? So we've covered, for sale by owners, we've covered expireds, we've covered circle prospecting, we've covered seasonal objections, we've covered agent experience, right? So we had 5. Did I miss any of them? And conversion of for sale by owner by simply providing them with information, and now they're considering no longer being a for sale by owner. Right? So which ones did I miss? Is there anything else that you guys are experiencing that you're missing? What do you do with a ornery client?
What, one
Erica, what do you do?
Stay nice and ethical.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Just try to ride the boat with them, I mean. I don't know how else to put it.
Okay,
You just stay true to yourself by remembering why you do this.
Right.
Why you love what you do, and just staying as ethical as possible without crossing any boundaries, and just try to, even though for whatever reason they've already got a bad taste, just try to make them understand that that is not in any way your intentions, and that realtors are really there to help them.
contribution, contribution, contribution. Questions, questions, questions. So if you're constantly coming from contribution, so they're involved in a transaction where she's representing the buyer, Marty's representing the seller. The seller is, the seller relationship with him is fantastic, and maybe not so much with her, which is not fair. And in some cases, that dialogue is happening at the same time, on a speaker, in the same room, with 3 people assembled, and it was identified. She is doing a fantastic job of doing just that, asking questions and coming from contribution, and just kind of getting her butt kicked a little bit. But what happens to somebody that has a rotten taste in their mouth that day?
They'll get over it.
Right, they'll get it out, they'll get it out, they'll get it out, they'll get it out.
I'd rather them get it out on me because I know how to handle it
Right,
than someone else.
And if they have a conscience, they'll realize the next day, like, wow, I was being really, really difficult, wow, I was being really, really whatever. The best thing that she can do is stay on point with the client and then hang up and go, one of you guys or me or whatever, and get it all out. And then when the client comes back around and says, I realized I was being difficult, I was being mean, I was being tough to deal with, be empathetic. Not sympathetic, empathetic. You know the difference? Sympathetic is going, oh, I feel bad for you. Empathetic is, I understand where you're coming from. This is part of what's going on, and I'm here to help you. So if they served you that, Erica, she goes, you know, I was just a mean person to you yesterday. How would you react to that?
No worries. It happens, we all have a bad day. I'm happy
Yeah,
to
this
help
can
you.
be very, very difficult. This is part of the process, and I'm more than willing, to help you through it. That's exactly how that goes. Make sense?
You're
Is there-
super nice.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a difficult client before once, and they called me, they did that, and I'll be honest, I was like, you were difficult yesterday, yes, but this is my job and I understand where you're coming from. Let's just always be on the same team, correct? Are we on the same team? Yes, okay, that's awesome, let's move on.
Perfect.
You guys are super nice.
Yeah, different.
You guys are super nice.
That's okay, but you know what though, if it works, because some people need to be put in check.
Yeah.
If I may, I'll be the first person in the world, like, if I'm out of line and I got hit, I get hit with a hey. Now, you're being difficult, I back off. I'm like, because then I immediately go right to self-evaluation, like, ooh, now. If I know that the person's just doing it to try to get their way, then I become more stubborn, more difficult to deal with. But you have to kind of know your audience with that. You know, like, you're pretty safe by contribution and asking questions, even though they're probably pissing you off along the way. That's a safer baseline. But if you have a relationship like Christian just mentioned, where you can go, hey, I'm gonna call you out on this, because this is not how.
And that's just me,
this
guys,
is
I don't,
supposed to go.
and that's just me, because I'm not gonna lie, I love difficult conversations, I thrive on them.
Fierce conversation.
Fierce conversations, correct term.
Mhm.
And, I mean, I always tell my clients, the first thing, my buyer consult, I'm always gonna be honest with you and upfront. Even if it's something you don't like to hear, but you need to hear, I'm always gonna say it. And I'm like, and, you know, will you guys allow me to be like that? Absolutely, Christian, we want you to be like that. Okay, awesome.
One of the things that they teach us in Mastery is ask permission. How honest can I be with you? Because
Can I
it's,
ask Christian a question?
sure.
Ask me, do it.
So what happens
Role
if
play.
you're having someone on your team
Role
who
play.
is the seller and you're the buyer's agent,
Okay,
and you're afraid in telling this person the truth will cause them to pull their listing?
okay, so the listing agent is on the team,
Yes,
and you're the buyer agent.
yes.
And you are trying to get the deal done, and the listing agent's not being,
No, the listing, okay, so
please explain it to me a little bit more.
the listing agent is on the team.
Don't give me names or anything.
I'm not.
Okay.
The listing agent is on the team.
I don't want it, the less I know, the better off.
The listing agent's on the team.
Okay,
And I'm the buyer's agent for the
Okay.
same client.
okay, same client,
Same client,
same client.
yes.
Yep. They
So-
both went on the appointment to, I'll bring this around.
Sorry, I'm like,
I know,
okay, so you both went on the
you're trying
appointment
to-
We're
together.
working together, yes.
So you helped do the listing too?
Yes.
Okay,
So, but someone else is taking care of the listing side and I'm taking care of the buyer
Okay.
side. Okay,
okay,
but this person has decided they don't wanna be in certain neighborhoods and they wanna be under a certain price point
okay,
and they can't have a basement in their house.
okay,
However, the only place that has no basements in their houses in that price point is where they don't wanna be. And I'm afraid in telling her this, that she's gonna pull her listing, cause she's already stated that if she can't find something she likes, she's not selling. What do you do in that situation?
When does she have to get
hmm.
out? When does she have to get out?
In that scenario,
Is it in-
ooh, that is, let me think about this. So you have the listing, she says she threatens she's gonna pull it if she can't find anything. So I would be like, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. It is going to be challenging for us to find a house in a neighborhood you like, that doesn't like a basement. What, I would dig deep, I would dig so deep, why don't you want a basement?
Oh, she cannot have a basement, absolutely. I would not feel comfortable putting her back in a house with a basement. She crawls up her steps. It is the
Okay,
most,
So we've already done that. Go on, you go in the right direction, keep going.
I would be like, okay, then, why don't you wanna be in this neighborhood? Why?
she's been there for 33 plus years and she hates her neighbors now and she's just done with being in that area, period. She just wants to get the hell out.
Okay, my thing is though, if we can stay in a similar, so my goal is, as your buyer agent, I wanna get you the best home for the best price, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest right now, the best home for the best price right now, what we're searching right now, because of inventory, is this area. If we could get you on a different street with different neighbors that you're never gonna see them again, would you be open to that?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, there we go. Maybe. So I know this is very challenging for you and I'm here for you and we're gonna get this done. I am absolutely gonna look in different market areas for you, but right now, being honest with you, the best home for the best price is looking in the neighborhood area where we're in. Yes, I understand you don't like your neighbors and I totally understand. I've had bad neighbors. They leave a sour taste in your mouth. But you never know. I've moved different places and I've had amazing neighbors. So you never know that. So my thing is, if you're open to it, would you mind if we looked at one or two homes in this area? Would you be open to that? Just to see what it's like.
Really don't think she would, to be honest.
So how do you do?
That's
so
my
so
concern.
let me interject one more thing. We may find you in a neighborhood that you really want to be in.
Yeah.
That is the house that you absolutely
But
positively
it has a
love.
basement.
But that is not going to guarantee that you're not going to have a worse neighbor.
Correct.
Or they may be great neighbors now,
I would-
a year later, a new
I-
person.
and I
Here's
already
one more
think-
further, sorry, I know you guys, I'm loving this. One more layer, this is real life. My team leader lives in the house of his dreams and he has got the worst neighbor ever. And the only reason he's not trying, that comes in is worse. So he found a way to tolerate it, and he's staying put and enjoying his house, and he's not moving. That's real life. That is real life.
You know, you gotta have.
However, I get what her feelings are. This lady may be like, and she knows her probably more than everybody. If she's like, no way in hell I'm living in this house, you're gonna have to say to her, then we may have to, truly, you're gonna have to wait until the inventory changes.
Can I make, at this point, and I don't know.
Go on, spit it out. This is why we're here.
I don't know, at that point, if they're not will,
It's a
I don't know.
difficult person, I'm not
if they're a
gonna lie.
super difficult person, and they're not willing to compromise a little bit with you when you are trying everything, and they're not hearing you out, sometimes I'm like, so as of right now, you're not willing to work with me. I would, as of right now, I'm trying to help you to the best of the ability and the best of my knowledge, and this, from everything we've looked at, from the studies, from the statistics, from the numbers, likelihood your price range in this, unless something else comes in the market, we're gonna have to look at this market. And I mean, I don't know.
Can I add what happened before us?
Mhm.
She's fired on a realtor's.
Because I already probably know who you're talking about. I already know who you're talking about. Because I already saw the listing, and I know who you're talking about, because I went on an appointment before with that one.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. Too difficult for me, I'm sorry, and I don't ever like to say as the what, out of my 4 years.
Did
4
anyone
years.
tell this woman she's, this,
I'm sorry, Mark might be living with me right now, and I'll deal with it
Letting her
later.
fire
I will
anyway,
totally deal with it
tell her
later.
what
He might
to
be
do.
living with me. I could not, because my biggest thing was trying to help you. I was on that appointment for 2 hours. 2 hours. And he might kill me, we might go in the office, I understand. Out of the 4 years, that is the one listing I was like, I cannot help, I cannot do it. I cannot, I fold. Cannot. So I want you to get it done, try everything to get it done, because if you get it done, you are a rock star agent, you will be, I know you are. I just, for mine and my emotional and all that.
I'm not even as concerned, the part about.
She's not gonna pull it.
I'm not as concerned for myself as I am for the listing agent.
I don't think
because
she's gonna pull it,
So,
And-
that's a very good.
and I didn't wanna,
That's a very good
sorry.
point.
Don't
So what
shoot
you
me.
do is, you then, because fortunately you're both on the same team, you pull that listing agent in as your ally. And
Yeah.
when you're having dialogue, then he may have to run interference for you. He may have to say, you know, I'm watching Erica bust her tail to try to find you something, and she's really, really struggling with it, you know.
Good cop, bad cop, absolutely.
He's
Yeah,
she's totally peaches and cream with him. As soon as I get on the phone, she lets it rip. Like,
Good cop,
Well,
bad cop then.
Now, and this is going to, I'm gonna run a risk by stretching it out a little bit too far out there. However, it's on that board. You teach people how to treat you. You know, so,
am I letting people walk all over me is what you're saying?
well, no, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that you have to kind of leverage that type of behavior. So how do you leverage that type of behavior? How do you do that?
Well, I don't have it in me to treat people like that, so it's
Right.
not gonna be.
You just have
my
the
thing.
And it doesn't-
conversation.
And it doesn't mean that you have to be mean, or you have to show up the same way that they are, I'm sorry, I'm not saying it right. But there is a tool that you can use to keep that from occurring. What is it? Ask more questions. Whenever you ask questions, you control the conversation. If somebody's going absolutely crazy on you, you just have to ask more questions.
I tried to ask questions, and I got told that if I needed to ask those questions, then I probably shouldn't be in this business.
That's challenging.
That
Well,
makes
no, part of the reason that I am in this business, and I do ask questions, is why I'll be successful in this business, because I'm very clear on what people's expectations are. So again, if I may, launch into it again.
That's awesome.
Because sometimes people want to be challenged. You know why people show up that way? Now, not to go all psychology on us now, even though we're pretty much done. How long have we been going, Tick? Is there a counter on that?